Welcome to the Sound and Fury YouTube channel. Today I want to explain why Vertigo is arguably the best movie ever made. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Eric Wilfred Watson. I'm the author of the thriller novels Judas Kissed and Becoming Quincy, with the sci-fi epic Death Siren on the way later this year, 2024. Everyone who knows me knows that I'm an avid fan of Star Trek, DC Comics, action movies, and thrillers. It might surprise many people that my favorite film has nothing to do with space or superheroes and doesn't have a single explosion. Hands down, my all-time favorite movie is Vertigo. It's a masterpiece by the legendary director Alfred Hitchcock, released in 1958. Most people know Alfred Hitchcock for Psycho, but for my money, Vertigo is the better movie. Well, what makes it so great? It's a number of things. First of all, it's the overall visual style of the movie. It's a work of art. The colors are vibrant and alive, almost like a painting. Hitchcock did a masterful job filming it in and around San Francisco, and it gives the viewer a real feel for that time and place. As a science fiction fan, it's the closest thing I'll ever get to time travel. I could mute the audio and watch it as a visual piece of art and enjoy it for that alone. The images are somehow vivid, yet dreamlike and surreal. Every frame of the movie is absolutely perfect. One lengthy sequence shows Jimmy Stewart in his car following Kim Novak around San Francisco, and it's all gorgeous. Some modern audiences might think this extended sequence is tedious or boring, but it is there for a reason. Soak it in. There's also an iconic shot of Kim Novak standing forlorn by the water with the Golden Gate Bridge shining brilliantly in the background. Every second of the film was meticulously planned, looks brilliant, and is astounding visually. It's a visual achievement like none other. The movie is worth watching for that alone. Another reason I love this movie is the music. You might not know the name Bernard Herrmann, but you've heard his music before. He created the iconic Twilight Zone theme. The shrieking violin horror sound from the movie Psycho was his invention, a sound ripped off by hundreds of other horror films. Herrmann's work ranges from the movies Citizen Kane to Taxi Driver. In Vertigo, he created music that is simultaneously haunting and beautiful, which match the visuals of the movie perfectly. Modern movies don't usually have a long opening credits sequence with musical scores, which is mostly a good thing. Deadpool has arguably the best opening credits sequence of any 21st century movie, but I digress. In Vertigo, the opening credits start with an extreme close-up of Kim Novak's face, and I mean right up to her eyeball close. Spiral graphics appear to make you feel dizzy, and the music instantly establishes the movie's eerie tone. It's important to note that this was decades before CGI, so the otherworldliness Hitchcock achieved here, and in a later dream sequence, was done all with practical effects. Modern viewers might be inclined to skip the opening credits and get to the actual movie, but that would be a mistake. The opening credits sequence sets the mood and is part of the overall experience. The most important reason to love Vertigo is the story. The movie starts, after the opening credits, with a close-up shot of the top rung of a ladder in a building in San Francisco. A hand grabs it and metaphorically grabs your attention right away. I won't get into all of what happens next. If you have not seen it, I don't want to spoil the ride, but the point is the movie wastes no time in getting going. But I will say that there is not one wasted second of the movie. Everything in the movie is there for a reason. All of the dialogue is there to establish character traits that are relevant to the story, or they convey essential plot points, or set up something that will be important later. I have yet to see a film that does a better job of setting things up for an eventual payoff. The best part is that those payoffs are seldom what one might expect. Many setups and payoffs are done with visual cues only, no dialogue. Much of the plot is presented without any words, so this is not a movie one can watch while scrolling on their phone. Someone having side conversations or leaving the movie to go get a snack or going to the bathroom will miss things. This movie is to be enjoyed in one sitting with no distractions. A 21st century viewer who can do that might be a rarity, but such a person would find this to be a rewarding experience. At least I believe so. Read any synopsis of the movie, and you get the same basic information. Jimmy Stewart plays an ex-cop hired to follow a man's wife. This man thinks an ancestor of his wife is taking possession of her from beyond the grave. The movie has a solid plot, But those story elements aren't the actual point of the film. Quite simply, Vertigo is the story of how Jimmy Stewart's character gains and loses his fear of heights, which won't make sense fully until the very end. Bravo, Hitchcock. This movie looks bright, romantic, and colorful, but the film's story is surprisingly dark for its time, even for today. Please don't go into Vertigo expecting to see the Jimmy Stewart you remember from It's a Wonderful Life. Stewart doesn't play the traditional Hollywood good guy here. In fact, his character's behavior is, frankly, appalling. Most of the main characters in the movie demonstrate some very negative yet very human traits that make the film seem more real and frightening. Vertigo lacks the conventional Hollywood-style good guy versus bad guy with a happy ending, but it perfectly ties up every story element for better or worse. Vertigo is not a typical movie. It's not even a typical Hitchcock movie. This is nothing like Rear Window, which is another Alfred Hitchcock masterpiece starring Jimmy Stewart. In Rear Window, and many of Hitch's other films, a hero protagonist faces some sort of danger or needs to solve some kind of mystery, uncover a conspiracy, or stop a villain. Not so here exactly. Yes, there is a mystery to reveal, but part of the mystery is that the audience doesn't really know what the mystery is. Is it a murder mystery? Is it a ghost story? Is it a romance? It's hard to peg the genre except to say that it's suspense. It's actually a tragedy. It's a brilliantly crafted tragedy, and the movie has some of the most unlikely yet brilliant plot twists in cinematic history. If a person sits quietly and watches the film for the first time, it will leave that person in suspense until the last second of the film and haunt the viewer's thoughts long after. By watching the movie, I mean without playing with a phone, folding laundry, going to the kitchen to make a snack, but actually watching the movie, fully engaging in it, and being invested in it. It's not a movie for a person with a short attention span. There are no high-speed car chases, no explosions, no spaceships, no superheroes, no graphic violence. Still, this movie builds more tension than films that have those things. It's a slow burn to be sure, but when it's over, the unsettling events will permeate the thoughts of the viewer for a long time afterward, which I think is fantastic. In my mind, Vertigo is perfect. Any aspiring storyteller should watch it and study the setups and payoffs. It may seem like a slow-moving film to modern audiences, but if one knows that going in, I promise that most people will find it to be a rewarding experience. Like any piece of art, it isn't for everyone. It is absolutely my favorite film. Do yourself a favor and watch Vertigo. You can thank me later.